After days of intense fighting, Israel and Hamas have now agreed to a ceasefire.
But the temporary peace is causing friction among top Israeli officials.
Trey Yingst is live in Jerusalem with what happens next. Good morning, Trey.
Well, good morning, Brian, Ainsley, and Steve. Unexpectedly this morning, the Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman resigning in protest of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to accept a ceasefire agreement with Hamas. The defense minister, who will be resigning in the next 48 hours, also calling today for early elections in Israel, putting new pressure on the prime minister. The resignation comes amid protests in the southern Israeli city of Sderot, where residents are demanding that the Israeli government take a harder stance against Hamas, the group in control of the Gaza Strip. Earlier this week, after a botched Israeli intelligence operation, Hamas and other Gazan factions fired more than 400 rockets into southern Israel, killing one person. The Israelis responded with a series of airstrikes in Gaza. Now the resigning defense minister is calling the ceasefire signing and previous allowance of payments to Hamas a surrender to terrorism. Now, Brian, Ainsley, and Steve, as pressure increases on the prime minister here in Israel, Hamas is claiming victory for the resignation of Lieberman. Also something to keep in mind here, with Lieberman's party gone, this could mean the end of Benjamin Netanyahu's rule here in Israel due to the fact that his parliamentary party will only have a one-majority lead. Brian, Ainsley, Steve.
All right, Trey, thank you very much for the live report from Israel. Let's bring in Alan Dershowitz, Harvard Law professor and author of The Case Against Impeaching Donald Trump. Professor, what do you make about these Palestinians who are firing all of these rockets now toward Israel?
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu is certainly not a dove. He's a very tough guy, and yet he has been willing, A, to accept the ceasefire, and B, to accept money from Qatar going into Gaza. I suspect something else is going on behind the scenes. It may be the rollout of President Trump's peace plan, the need to get agreement from the Sunni Arab countries, particularly the Gulf countries. I think there are bigger fish to fry in Prime Minister Netanyahu's mind than simply retaliation against Hamas. There'll be time for retaliation later. But if there are opportunities to bring about a broader peace and possibly a deal with the Palestinians, that's more important than simply taking additional actions against Hamas in Gaza. As far as the elections are concerned, everybody anticipates there are going to be new elections soon. And so I think the resignation of Lieberman is just a kind of foretaste of things to come. We're going to see a very contested election. And one of the issues will be doves versus hawks, whether a peace plan is in the works. And there are a lot of moving parts working now.
And the Egyptians are helping broker this. Meanwhile, there's the Palestinian Authority and there's Hamas. So you have conflicting movements there, and you don't know if, on some level, the Palestinian Authority wants Hamas pounded. So we'll see.